G'day, I'm Tighe and welcome to another episode of Interviews from the Fringe, a series where we look at how social change occurs over time and indeed how consumers' perceptions evolve. Today I'm talking to Tamara Dimartina from Trumpet PR and Donald Munro, who's the Sustainability Manager for Salvo Stores, and we're talking about the campaign Buy Nothing New in October, which kicked off in October 2010. As usual, at the end of the interview, I'll talk about some of the implications that I see from a foresight perspective. However, I kicked off this interview by asking Tamara, what are some of the key messages behind the campaign?
Because we're not saying to people, go without. That's not what it's about. It's about being more aware of your shopping habits and that there are so many other alternatives. So if you want a new dress or if you need new stuff, you don't have to go without, but you can, don't buy it new, buy nothing new. So
from a public perspective, how much interest is there in understanding more about where our stuff comes from and where our stuff goes to?
It's a great question. It's a really difficult one. I mean, if you go to an average out-of-town shopping centre on a Saturday afternoon and see the madness, then you might think there isn't much. But I think more and more people are beginning to start to ask those questions. There's a lot more appearing in the media about things like peak oil and the whole ecological footprint, and we've only got one planet and that kind of thing, and people are beginning to ask more questions. And you do see, I guess, in supermarkets more brands with some kind of green logo or green stamp, which says that they're perceiving there's a demand for it. Whether every one of those brands is doing it right or not is another question, but there must be some awareness out there, and maybe this is an opportunity rather than something that you should recoil away from. You can't have people thinking that way. But maybe if there is a conscience out there and people are attracted to something like Buy Nothing New, then maybe that's a conscience that retailers can tap into and do things in a different way.
We were talking before as well about innovation and the need to innovate with your business, and if where your business is not the right place to be, then you need to change. And I'm sure that there will be businesses that will go under, but there will be so many businesses that will flourish and pop out because of this, because they've seen a different way, a better way of doing things. So I think it's a huge opportunity.
We might look from a distance and say, geez, this society has this addiction to consumption without even really being aware that they're addicted. So what events might assist Buy Nothing New to continue to grow going forward?
People respond when something affects them directly. And I find we're very protected from a lot of what's happening around that consumerism. We can go to our nice, clean, shiny shopping centre and buy a new, shiny good, the latest and greatest, and bring it home and dispose of the old one that's a year old or whatever, and there's no consequence, either before or after it gets to us. And somehow we've got to make that consequence real for people. So I've been up there, I've been to the landfill that's hidden away in secret behind some trees way out at the back of Melbourne, and it stinks and it's dusty and it's dirty, and that's the end of consumerism. That's the big hole in the ground where the stuff goes, and we hide that from people. People don't see it, they're not aware of it. So my crazy idea is to give everyone a credit when they buy something new, and when you reach 1,000 credits or whatever the magic number might be, you have to go and spend a day working at the landfill. Get your hands dirty and smell it and see it, and it just might slow you down a little bit.
Yeah, I think we do have a really long way to go, but the feeling that I have is that there are so many more people out there, and there has been a shift. People actually do care more about this sort of thing. They actually do care about the fact that it's someone unknown to them in another country who might be now, shifting through the landfill. And as you said before, people would think about, this only cost me this much. Now people are looking at the actual embedded cost in that and getting more of an understanding of this t-shirt might cost $5 or $10 or $15, but it's actually 70,000 litres of water went into making that, or the cost of the person who was sitting in the sweatshop, or then the kid, who has to then shuffle through the landfill. The next step really is past that Buy Nothing New becomes obsolete because people just live this way anyway. So I think a lot of Buy Nothing New, the whole purpose is really to get people thinking about the life cycle. Where does this come from? The goods, even before you step up to the counter to buy something, really think, do I need it? What else can I do with the money? Where's it coming from? Who's been involved in making it? What were their conditions? Then once I've got it, is it just going to sit in my wardrobe and not get worn, or sit on the shelf and not be used? Then where does it go once I throw it out? Does it go to landfill, or, all the implications of that?
So what are some of the key implications that Buy Nothing New may hold for the future? Well, if we look at the current situation where we live in a very materialistic society where consumption is actually celebrated and growth is seen to be good. Now, most of us exist within this paradigm in a state of paradigm blindness, and by that I mean we're actually unaware of our drive for consumption. Now, to get behavioural change, you really need to move from a position of paradigm blindness to paradigm awareness. How do you do that, or how do you shift a society to become aware of the actual paradigm that they exist within? You need campaigns like Buy Nothing New. It's really only from being in a position of paradigm awareness that you can then start to undertake a paradigm shift. And perhaps we'll look back from the future and see campaigns such as Buy Nothing New and say that they were instrumental in moving society from a materialistic outlook to a much more post-materialistic outlook. Thanks for watching.